When Kathy Rollin approached me one day after a church service and asked me if I would be interested in sharing my faith story, my response was, "You might want to find someone more interesting than me. My faith story is pretty boring." Well, here I am. My name is Sally Brewer. I've been married to my wonderful husband Doug for 27 years. We have 4 amazing kids, Ryan 20, Rachel 22, Abby 24, and Johnny who's 26, and he is married to our daughter-in-law Kate. I grew up in Oshkosh and I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I love and respect my parents very, very much, and I loved everything about my childhood, except maybe one thing. Being the youngest of 6 in a span of 10 years is crazy for any of us to fathom. So being the only one not to be baptized is even harder to fathom. But I do forgive my mom and dad for that. During my childhood, I remember attending a Lutheran church now and then, but God was really never talked about in our house. I'm not even sure actually I knew who God was at that time. And looking back, I know now He was working in me. Even way back then, I just didn't know it. In middle school, I was asked by a friend to attend a student life midweek program at a Baptist church. And I did that for a while, but the only reasons I was going was the fun games and sporting activities they had planned for us, and the full-size candy bar I would get for reciting a Bible verse every time I got picked up on that school bus. Again, I'm not really sure I knew who God was. High school was also a wonderful time for me. I was a 3-sport athlete, and I was very, very much a rule follower. I worked very hard, at least in sports, and I loved and respected all my coaches and teachers, at least 99% of them. After high school, I would move on to technical college, where I got a degree in child care and development. During that time, my sister approached me about going to her church and getting baptized. I did that, but I still can't say I had a strong understanding of who God really was and how important He would become in my life. I graduated from technical college and started teaching preschool to 13 4-year-olds. In May 1989, I met Doug, and a little over a year of dating, he would take a leap of faith and started his own heating and air conditioning business. Hours were very long and life was crazy, but it was good. Doug introduced me to his church in Rosendale, and on occasion, when we weren't too busy, we would attend a Sunday service. It wasn't until we got married and started our family that I really had the desire to attend church on a regular basis. Getting yourself up and getting ready for church is easy. Having 4 kids under the age of 6 is another story. Doug grew up having to go to church on a regular basis, so making this a priority for our family was way harder on him than me. I remember that being kind of a hard time for us. Our kids weren't the happiest at our little church in Rosendale, so when someone invited us to RCC back around 2006 or so, we jumped at the opportunity, and I'm so thankful we did. I felt like we all needed something more than what we were getting. God's timing was perfect. Little did we know that we would need this church and the people who went there. In 2009, our daughter Abby was diagnosed with an eating disorder. It was a very, very dark time for our family. I knew God somewhat at this point, but I still didn't know Him enough. I remember passing Abby's bedroom on many occasions, seeing Doug and her on their knees praying. We got through this difficult time thanks to many people praying for our family. Then, March of 2011, I received a phone call saying that my brother had committed suicide. One of the hardest things I've ever had to endure. At that time, Doug and I were involved in a community group at RCC, and thank goodness we were. The people in that group definitely helped us through that tragic time. And I know in my heart that if my brother would have had a church family like we did, he would still be here today. Through that time, I felt so much closer to God, maybe because I talked to Him and prayed so much. I remember at times apologizing for talking to Him so much and taking away time that maybe other people needed Him as well. He was becoming more and more important to me each day. Fast forward to August 2019, we attended the church picnic and baptism at the Green Lake Conference Center. I watched and was intrigued with everyone being baptized that day. I remember Pastor Mike made the last call for anyone else wanting to do it.
Sometimes you're here and you realize, I believe in Jesus, I'd like to get baptized. That's okay if you want to. The only thing that's required for a person to be baptized is belief in Jesus. So Is there anyone right now that would like to come forward and get in on today's baptism?
I remember looking over at our oldest son, Johnny, and his wife, Kate. They knew the Holy Spirit was working in me and asked if I was interested. I said, I can't do it. I have my regular clothes on. I had no plans of being baptized that day until I got the permission and push from Johnny and Kate that I needed, and I decided to do it. I can't even describe it, but I've had such a sense of peace from that day on. I have the assurance knowing that Jesus is leading my life. That day 2 years ago, I just needed that permission and a push. Maybe you need that permission and push too. I often wonder how people live without God in their life. That's a discussion Doug and I have very often. I recently talked to someone having a hard time and told her about my faith. I invited her to have Jesus in her life and attend RCC service. I've been so blessed, and I have seen God work in so many ways. I want her and all of you to experience the same thing. I'm going to end with a verse, one of my favorites, and I don't see any full-size candy bars in front of me, so I'm just going to read it. So it's from Romans, and it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Thank you.